Welcome. You've splash landed into this Prosecco-laden podcast, straight into the woo-woo pool with the crew of Ohm-g. We're just a simple group of tragically imperfect and highly empathic BFFs, exploring a wide range of atypical topics with humor, grace, and curiosity. This is Ohm-g. Welcome. We've all been there. You're on the move, leveling up spiritually, and the synchronicities are goosing you right and left. But can we ever really pass that baton, reach the finish line, be truly spiritually surrendered? That's the topic. You're here with the crew of
Ohm-g, the podcast. Welcome back, everybody. We are still short our illustrious Mr. Aaron Behringer this week, but
wrong.
But we are persevering. And again, on this episode, we have our Super Witch fan.
Hey,
Shanda is with us again this episode, and we're so glad to have her here with us for this episode because Shanda and I've actually had a couple of conversations about this on the side already about surrendering the spirit. But this is Chandra.
This is Shanda.
This is Camille.
This is Lynn.
And this is Brenda Sue. And welcome to the show.
Yes, welcome back. So today we are going to be talking about how spirit does you sometimes. And
grabs your hair, whatever. Go ahead.
I mean, not in a nice way though. So sometimes you have to surrender to the universe. You have to surrender to spirit. And you don't necessarily want to do that because you're trying to get there. And if you listen to one of the previous episodes, Brenda talks about how she was just ready to just lay it all down because she wasn't getting there quick enough.
And I'm still there.
No, she's not. But anyway.
We told her she's not.
She told us we didn't tell her what to do, but we do tell her what to do sometimes. She doesn't like it. But anyway, so that's the topic today is, for me, I think that surrender is not giving up.
Mm.
And that's a hard thing to do sometimes because you feel like you're in the trenches and you feel like no matter what you do, you can't reach the finish line. But that's the thing. You never reach the finish line. You're never going to get to the end.
And as a human,
until you're dead. Until you're dead.
But as a human, when you get to that point where everything in you knows it's time to surrender to the human ego that feels like it's time to give up.
Right.
And that's immediately where your human voice goes to. And I know Brenda and I are both have kind of like been there for a minute where it's just like, I just need to stop all the subscriptions. This business thing isn't doing what I want it to do. I'm not going to make a living this way. I need to give it up and be real and like firmly plant myself in the human existence and like be a real person. Just suck it up and quote unquote, do the thing I'm supposed to do. And that's the whole ego thing of
abandon the woo.
But when literally your soul is telling you surrender and let it happen naturally, you don't know the how. We know the how. But because you don't know the how, then you think, well, I should just give all this up because I can't see how this is going to play out. Mm-hmm. And that's a hard little channel to navigate is when your human body is telling you, just give this shit up. It's not working out. Give it up. And your soul is saying surrender too. And you're like, but
how do you do both?
How do I surrender without giving up? Right. How do you do that?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't either.
I don't know either.
And that's what we're here to talk about.
Yeah. So
who has insight?
Excuse me, I'm so sorry. So being where I am right now on this journey, I've been doing this stuff for a few years now. I guess it's been, almost 20 years? Yeah, it's probably close to 20 years that I've been doing things. And I feel like, you progress and you learn more and you grow and you develop. And then you start a business and you're like, I'm going to do this for a living. I'm going to help people in this way. And then it doesn't go the way that you think it's going to go. Because that's kind of where I am now. Like it's like driving a car when you're first learning how to drive a stick shift. And, you stall out and you go fast, and then you stall out and you go fast and you stall out. And I feel like that's where I am. It's been a lot of this stop start thing. And that's really frustrating as a human being who is living in this physical world that we're living in and trying to figure out, how am I going to move forward with this? And I love doing this. I love helping people in this way and connecting with people in this way. But it's not working the way that I think that it should be working.
Well, and it's not feasible to just do it as a hobby.
Right. I mean, I could do it as a hobby. But then I'd run out of time, right? There's not enough time to do all the things.
All the things. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's my point. You kind of either, if I do this as much as I love doing it, then I need to be doing it full time. But then therefore I have to make a living doing it.
And then you question,
right,
this stuff that I'm getting, is it really helping anyone? Is it really making a difference?
Or am I just being toyed with by the universe?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I think that on a regular basis. I was actually thinking that this morning.
I think the people who come to you feel differently. I think they feel that you are definitely helping. Just the words that come through from their loved ones, that means a lot. That means a lot. And so you may not be seeing it or feeling it, but the people on the other end are definitely, I can't tell you how many stories I've told of people, of the things you've told me that have come through in our sessions. And I've told the people who would know the person who came through. And I'm like, you would not believe what she said. And the tears that come to their eyes and the love that they feel. And
Brenda's like, damn it.
It's big emotion and you don't get to see that part. But
Words
just
of
know
wisdom from the super witch.
Exactly.
Shanda just told a witch right here in front of all of us.
Well, it's huge.
But
It's huge.
Mhm.
But that's where the surrender comes in.
Yeah.
It's because we as humans feel like the surrender means to give it up. When in fact the surrender is, I'm going into this reading with the intention that, Spirit, don't put it in my head if it ain't the right thing. Whatever you put in here is what I'm going to say. I'm going to trust it's going to be the thing that the person needs to hear. And then I'm going to have to let it go. Like, I can't. You do after come back and doubt yourself because you're human. But at least in the moment, you're just like, I'm going to that. And as humans, we don't see that part necessarily as like the big surrender, when it kind of really is.
Yeah.
Of just like setting that intention that, okay, this is your time. I'm moving myself aside. Whatever comes into my head, I'm just going to trust it's from Spirit and it's what needs to be said. And I'm going to let it roll out of my mouth. If it's not from you, then I'm trusting you're not going to put it in there. You're not going to give it to me if it's not what I'm supposed to say.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I too have had a reading from Brenda.
She's good.
And she is very good.
Amazing.
And like the first thing that came through, she's like, oh, someone is like clearing their throat. And I just started laughing because I knew immediately who it was. And so it is hard. And as a reader, it's hard when you kick the can down the road a little bit and you look back and go, I don't think that was all that good. And so I think that's where we get stuck sometimes, as we get in our ego and we're like, well, I don't know, that wasn't really that good. Maybe it didn't help them. But I think that's where the surrender comes in, and you just have to know that you're doing good work, and don't listen to your ego because she's a bitch.
Absolutely.
She is a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and the act of like working with someone, like you were saying, Shanda, over time and getting to know them. Like, Brenda was the first person that I ever trusted enough to ask them to connect with my father.
Yeah.
Like, I knew I needed to work through that relationship, but and he'd come through in other readings, but I'd always said, like, I don't want to speak to him. And eventually he started coming through other people. Like, he would have his dad come in and he would be behind him, and then he would say things through his dad and things like that. But she was the first person where I was ever like, I need help working through this, and I need you to connect directly to him and help me.
That's why I love our circle so much. It's hard to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Especially Scorpio rising. But if you know you're in a safe place, you can kind of let it flow. So.
Absolutely. I mean, I think of the person who came through for me through you, and that's not who I would have expected to come through. in a million years, I would not have believed that she wanted to come in and speak with me. But she hasn't just come through for me. She's come through for my son when you saw him too. And the things,
I don't remember
the things that she said to him. So I get to hear that too. And it's just really amazing.
Well, and again, like double validation, because again, when you're the one doing the channeling, you don't remember. You don't remember who came through. You don't remember what was said. You don't remember. But the fact that the same soul came in for both of you at different times.
Mm-hmm.
And, Brenda sitting over there, not making the connection or whatever in the moment. And this person saying very similar things to two different people at two different times. I mean, what validation that you were actually, for the medium, for any medium.
Yeah.
Like that's huge validation that you were actually.
Yeah.
connected.
And my son doesn't know her. Never did. She died before, he was born. And it was the dual lyric was with him at the time. So she knew immediately who it was because of her connection in my house and whatnot. So it's just, it's huge.
And I think that's one of the things that, if y'all haven't heard, we are all doing the class with Joanna the Healer. And Lord Jesus, help us all. And I think that's one of the things that's going to help you, Brenda, is like moving through that. You're like, I don't remember, but you don't need to remember. You just need to surrender to spirit and trust that what you're getting is what you're supposed to get.
So I am in the moment of when it's happening. Like I'm totally there. I'm surrendered to whatever information is coming through. I trust it.
But then the ego steps in.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the after effect, your afterthoughts. You need to remain in that positivity realm that you were in during the mediumship and let it follow you after that.
And that is the work that we're all trying to do through this Joanna course. It's very much about shadow work. It's very much about ego work and integrating the ego and not demonizing, like sitting in that moment going, okay, I know I'm going to doubt myself because I'm human. I know I'm going to wonder if I'm doing the right thing because I'm human. I just have to allow myself to question and then allow myself to believe. Like I can sit here and question, but then I also have to give exactly the same amount of time to believing that I am, because otherwise people would stop booking.
Yeah.
Like
acknowledge
if I'm in
your questioning, acknowledge it, but then be able to move beyond that and say,
like put enough trust in the universe that if I'm not helping and I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, then the bookings are going to stop because the universe isn't going to send me people if I'm not really helping people.
Well, it kind of is at a standstill right now.
Okay, I'll book.
You might be in a resting phase, boo-boo, and we're all allowed that.
Yeah.
We're all allowed that.
And I know people get tired of hearing about the law of attraction, but it really is true. Like if you start doubting yourself, the universe is not going to send you the people that you need because you're in a phase of doubting.
And it's giving you the space to also do the work around the doubting.
Right. And so that's just where you're at, and you're doing the work. Even though it's really, really hard, because if y'all ain't never sat in class with Joanna the Healer for 2 hours, she would call you by your government name and your social security number.
In front of God and the 12 disciples. Just like right out there, Jesus is Lord, straight out in front of everybody.
Y'all know what I like in this spiritual surrender thing too? Big girl moment here. We've all been there. When you've been working so hard and you've been eating right, you've been exercising, and you reach that almighty goal weight. And you think to yourself, I am at the pinnacle. I am at Mount Everest. And all of a sudden the universe reminds you, well, there's maintenance. There's checking up on yourself. There is making habits. There is, you are nowhere near. Exactly.
That banana pudding is not in that recipe. Right
exactly. But, even a beautiful, perfect running car is going to need the maintenance and the tune-ups. So I think we all get lost there and think, oh, it's time to pass that baton. I've done it. I'm getting my synchronicities.
You can't step off the escalator.
Yep.
No, you can't. You have to keep going. And also, there's also the thing of, okay, I'm at my goal weight. Well, all that work, why ain't I happy?
Right.
Why didn't that fix I did all the work. I lost all the weight.
It's mental.
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
In your
So
head.
it's the ego.
But it's the ego, and
And
as
the-
long as, like you said in the last episode, Lynn, as long as you're breathing, there's work to do because the
Yeah.
ego is not going to shut up. Like you can get to your goal weight, the ego is not going to shut up. You can get the perfect spiritual message and it be validated in the moment. You know it's totally 100% true, and the ego still go, "Well, that wasn't good enough. You don't
Right.
do that all the time." I mean, as long as you're breathing, that ego is still going to be like, pss, 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 pss.
Shut
And-
up.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's what Joanna's teaching us is that you have to embrace that and call it by its government name
Exactly.
and say, okay, I see what you're doing. Not today.
And I rebuke you.
Get behind me, Satan.
Get behind me, Satan.
Somebody grab the salt.
Pull my hair a little bit. But Brenda Sue, you might be in the spiritual maintenance phase and you're allowed a rest.
That's true. That's totally
Yeah, if
true.
you-
With
20 years.
right.
And you're also working very hard at work and
Mhm.
going to
School.
school
Right.
and trying to maintain the house and
I'm
the kids.
I'm supposed to do it all, though, girl. Didn't you know that? That's how
Wonder
we were
Woman.
raised.
Well, I
Mhm.
But enough
mean,
about last night.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get that because I do it all.
I know you do.
I'm everything. Like,
And I admire that so much about you and how
but
much you're like
Some-
helping other people
but
right now.
sometimes Spirit will set me down and be like, "Oh, you need a break."
She didn't want to listen to my compliment. Did you hear that?
Mm-mm, I don't like compliments.
Deflect.
That's exactly what she was doing.
You know,
Pull
and
up
you
my
know what you
shield.
need to do?
Mm-hmm.
You need to accept that break before you actually get a physical
Ooh.
break.
Yeah.
Because that's happened to me before.
Yeah.
Laid up. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah. I have been getting that message actually, just to.
Oh, that universe will push you when it's time to rest. If you are not
Absolutely.
getting the clues, you're going to be pushed down with the flu or
Mhm.
something. You will be made to
Sprain,
rest.
a break.
Mhm. And the
Mhm.
holidays are coming.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Lord help us all.
Why you have to sit over and talk dirty like that, Brenda?
I know. Build up the.
I love the holidays. If y'all don't know it, I'm just saying. I'm trying to get my Christmas stuff up as
No.
we speak.
This is my favorite right time of year as well, but it's bittersweet.
Daunting.
Mm-hmm.
I have too many
It is
people in my house right now. I do enjoy decorating, but there's too much other clutter right now.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I can't.
We got guest rooms. You just come on over,
That's right.
Witch.
You just say
Yeah.
the word.
I'm coming to somebody else's house.
I need a break.
Me and
I'm-
Shanda having a sleepover.
I can't cook, but I'm funny, and there will be Prosecco.
I'll cook. We'll drink.
You can come stay in the haunted room.
Okay.
Just saying.
options. There's lots of
There's
options.
lots of options.
Aunt Ruby always has room.
She does. Yeah, she always shows up in the doorway. So,
And I also want to say, we talk a lot about spiritual community because I think that's so important to have community amongst people who are on a similar path.
Mhm.
And having these people in this room right now, I feel like I'm in a coaching session and I'm being told. But, a lot of people don't have that. They don't have those people who are there to kind of encourage them or push them along. So if you are listening and you are also discouraged, just know that we are here. We're here like encouraging you to keep going because that's what we do for each other. And that's what we want to do for the people who are listening as well. Like,
Absolutely.
don't
we know
give up.
how important it is to have somebody that can see you from the outside. Because you're
Yes.
seeing yourself. It's like when you hear your, I don't want to talk, when you hear your voice recorded, you're like, that's not what I sound like. Because from inside, you sound so different than you do when you're hearing yourself from the outside. And as spiritual beings, it's the same way we can't see ourselves from the inside the way everybody else sees us from the outside. And sometimes you just have to have that person go, bitch, you're doing the work.
Yeah.
I see you
'Cause
doing the work because
ego
you don't feel like
filters.
you're doing the work.
Ego filters, and the filters are not nice.
Right.
They're not.
and I
Yeah.
never hear my accent. People are always like, the one with the accent. And I'm like, who are we talking about? I don't have an accent.
Who, me?
I don't even know what y'all are talking about.
Bless your heart. Yeah.
I don't hear it. But you know why I don't hear it? Because I'm used to it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think that's another thing. Like you get so used to just knowing stuff, Brenda.
And you get so used to that ego voice that won't shut that
Yeah.
up all the time
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you can't see past it.
Yeah.
It's so hard to see past it.
Yeah. So community is important during times whenever you're
It is.
having self-doubt. And we also offer community online with our social media and stuff, but also with our Wednesday night virtual group, because that can grow as well. And we can bring more people in and connect with more people and just encourage each other on our path.
Yeah, so
Because
if you haven't found us with that yet, the first Wednesday of every month, we have a virtual kind of like intuitive development session through Zoom for any of our podcast listeners who want to join. So check our social media, our Instagram and our Facebook for announcements on that. And then we have a live one either the third or fourth Thursday or Wednesday of every month as well for people who live here near our location. We have those live, and they're a lot of fun as well.
Yes, they are.
They are, but you better get your ticket because that last virtual event, it sold
Goes
out in like a
fast.
day.
In a day.
Yeah.
It sold out in one day.
Yeah.
So
Okay, and going back to our synchronicity episode, we have one member who always comes to the virtual event, and she lives in Texas. And I mean, you can just,
shout out Christy.
hi,
Yeah,
Christy.
Christy.
And I'm not trying to degrade that in any way, but you can just tell when she logs on, she's like so happy to be there. And it's like this. I found some people. They may not all be my people, but I found some people, and I know I belong here. And she's just like you can just tell she's so excited to be in that event. And we sold out of, like, let's say we have 15 seats, 14 of them sold in like hours, like from the time we announced it. And then it was like a day went by, another day went by, and that last ticket didn't sell. And so I sent out a thing to everybody and said, we've got one more seat. I put a thing on Instagram, and Holly's like immediately, Christy's like immediately emailing everybody. She goes, I didn't see it. Is there still a seat? And I was like, of course there is.
We're going to give her a seat even if we sold out.
Even if we sold out.
Because she's been to all of them.
But I mean, synchronistically looking at it, I'm like, well, of course Spirit was saving your seat. Of course they were.
Yeah,
right?
Spirit was saving that seat.
Oh.
Yeah.
You always end up where you're meant to be.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That goes
So,
for
I mean-
everyone here.
But I mean,
Brenda Sue.
it's just
Yeah.
the kind of like a validation for the rest of us that like once you find your people,
Yeah.
your people are going to, Spirit's going to look out for you and for your people, and they're going to keep you engaged with your people.
It's so funny. We've had literally 3 super witches because we popular like that. And
In 3 years, we've had 3.
Yeah.
We've had 3 fans. Yay!
No, we got
we
other
have a lot.
fans.
I know. I'm just-
Well, super fans. And Lynn was our first one. Obviously, she was a foster fail because now she's part of the podcast.
We couldn't let it go.
Yeah.
Because I can't stop talking.
And now Shanda, and here she sits with us and already like a friend, right? I feel like you're our friend. And
Please.
yes, absolutely. And then
Well, it's going to determine on how that banana pudding turns out. But, other than that,
oh, please, Lord. Yeah. And then we have another one, Liz, and she's absolutely amazing. She was going to be here today too, but she had some other things going on, and just feels like the people who have supported us are like, they're our people. And I love them all so much and so grateful to have them in our lives. So I feel like now.
and not just the people who support us financially. I mean, we have so many other people that are like coming to almost every live event, who are coming to our virtual events, and
Well, that's supporting us as well.
it is,
Helps
but
pay for the cost.
But I mean, you walk into those events and you're just like,
That's my people.
my people.
Yeah.
You feel it the minute that they start, that they, we get there early, of course, like, set up and do a couple of things, but and you get the nerves, like you get the stomach, and like, cause you're going to have to be on, quote unquote on. But then the people start coming in, it's like, oh, I'm so glad
And we
you're
want to
here.
show up early
Yeah.
because we want to be in your presence
Right.
and with that energy that you
vibe,
have.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's why you have to surrender to Spirit, but never give up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And I have to say this, if you're out there listening and maybe this is your first time to tune in, we want to hear your story as well. We want to hear about your spiritual struggle. Every story that is shared will help someone out there.
Absolutely.
It could be
That's
me,
true.
it could be Brenda, but please
Brenda's
send
about
it.
to get a good talking to when we get off here.
Well,
Can we record that?
and
I'll take her in the woods.
Therapy
Y'all don't know what
session.
happens when we go in the
I
woods.
know, don't make her go to the woodshed. But, and I was just thinking about that this morning, is like, when you start talking about those kind of things, it's so easy to fall into that victim mentality.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a lot of also what Joanna is teaching us is like, yes, it's hard. Yes, it sucks. Yes, it's no fun. Yes, it's a hot, fat mess. But it's going to stay that way until you take responsibility and accountability for it and start like looking it in the eye and calling it by its name and claiming your power over it. And I'm not saying that is as in that you have to make the ego the bad thing or you have to make it negative, but you can't let it run wild and you can't let it claim power over other things. You have to be the one to say, okay, you get 50 and you get 50. Give it its due, but not allow it to run
Amok.
circles over top of you, which is
Hocus pocus.
which it will if you allow it.
Yeah,
And
be
that's the
afraid
hard
of the
part.
tiger,
Mm.
but don't be afraid of helping people.
Never gonna give you up.
Never gonna let you down.
Rick rolled.
I hope everybody gets that stuck in their head. I'm just saying.
Run around and
Little
desert you. Never gonna make you cry.
Never
Desert
gonna
me with
tell
some
Say
banana
lies. Never gonna tell a lie and hurt you. That's
Oh,
our
bless
ode to
it.
Aaron since he's not here today. We love you, Aaron.
You have all been Rick rolled now. So if you don't have community, let us be your community. Like, see what happened here today. When we started out talking, I got told. And so it gives me more opportunity.
And you got validated.
Yes.
Truth
True.
and love.
Yes.
Holding up the receipt over here. Look at me, Brenda Sue. Look at me.
I'm looking. But everybody needs people
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
lift them up and help them through times whenever maybe you're going through a tough time in your spiritual journey or in life in general, because we all do. So I love you all, and we're here to support you in any way that we can on the podcast, whether it's just listening to us or joining us in our groups or chit-chatting on the Instagrams or
On
the
the
Facebooks.
socials.
Yeah. So we love you guys, and never gonna give you up.
Never surrender. Oh, that's a Corey Hart song. Never surrender. We should have sang that one.
Oh, we might get in trouble. Copyright shit.
Oh.
Okay,
We
but
do
we
not
love
own the
y'all.
copyright to any of this music.
Right. Disclaimer.
We were never here. Peace out.
Take
Bye.
good care.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody. Thank you for joining us today. Please follow and subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and leave a review. It's so easy to do and such a huge help for us. We appreciate your interactions so much. Want to join us at our table? Make sure to check out our YouTube channel and join our Facebook community. If you've enjoyed this content and wish to support us, take a look at our Patreon page. All information and links will be in our podcast description. Catch you next time.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM. Women's voices amplified.